So what's on the menu today? We have a Chevy Cruze RS in for our paint enhancement. It's got some defects. We're going to show you in a moment how we're going to deal with those. Let's start with the wash process first. And if you're confused about the wash process that we do, there's many different ways of doing a pre-wash and the contact wash and the decontamination stages and all of that. It kind of depends on the job you're doing, what the customer wants, and your standard operating procedure. Everybody's got a different way of doing things. So let's begin with ours. Now, as we quickly take a look around the vehicle, you're going to see that it does have some bird bomb splatter that may have etched into the paint. It definitely has swirls. You can't see it now because, of course, the sun isn't out, but you'll see it under the lights. He just installed these new wheels, so those are nice. Nothing special in the interior. This is going to receive our interior detailing. It's really not bad at all. He just basically wants it cleaned up and looking presentable. Now it has these little emblems here. These are not stock. Even though it is an RS, this is not the correct symbol. This turbo symbol, that's not supposed to be there either. So we're going to show you how we remove those. The customer did mention these marks here. Don't know what those are yet. So we'll see if those come out in the wash or if it clay bars off, or when we get into our polishing stage, then we'll address those if we need to go any heavier with a compound. Now when it comes to doing under the engine, we're not going to be doing the engine today. Look at what's under here. It's pretty nasty. So all of that stuff I want removed because you can kind of see it from the outside when you look into the cowl. Without having to actually do much of the engine, we're just going to pressure wash that out. You can vacuum it out, you can blow it out, do whatever you want to do with that, but we're just going to use the pressure washer because we're washing it anyway, and it's just easier to do that. And just one quick thing to clear up about the usage of compounds and polishes. They are not what they used to be. If you're thinking of compounds 20, 30 years ago, the formulations have changed, the paint systems have changed, things are different now. When you hear that word compound, it's not going to be like rocks in a bottle. Some still are, but that's used for very specific things, a very gritty compound that you need to use. A lot of the time with the new paint systems, you don't need to use that. You don't have to be so aggressive because some of those old ones are very, very aggressive, and using them on newer paint finishes is just unnecessary. I don't always use the word compound. I try to use the word polish across the board. Whether it's a compound or not, a lot of them are polishing compounds. They use that word compound to let you know that it's the cutting stage. It is the more aggressive cutting stage to remove those defects, and then you polish after. Usually I just refer to that whole system as polishing, whether it's a heavy cut polish, medium cut, fine polish, it doesn't matter. Try to use the word polish more, especially for customers, maybe not for detailers specifically because you guys know, but for customers, that word compound can kind of strike fear into some people. It has before with some of my customers, and they're, what are you doing? That's the IK foam we're filling up. For me, I try not to use that word compound with customers. I'll try to say polish. It's a nicer term to use, and in their mind, it's not as aggressive. That's just something that I've learned over the years. Now, starting with our pre-wash, we're going to hit the door jambs with a degreaser or an all-purpose cleaner. Choose whichever one you want. There's no, best one out there. We'll use Super Clean, we'll use Extra Tough, we'll use Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner, we'll use whatever we have on hand, whatever we get. So we're spraying down all the door jambs first. We're going to do a pre-rinse and a pre-wash. Actually, in this case, because it's kind of chilly out and the sun's not out, we don't even have to pre-rinse it. We can simply use the IK foamer. We have Super Clean in there, 1 to 10. That is our pre-wash. That will soften all the junk on the lower portions of the panels. Let it sit there for about 30-60 seconds, and then you just rinse it off. And again, it's cooler temperatures. We're not in direct sunlight. It's kind of like cloudy today, so we don't have to worry about things drying and, they're being damaged. But if you're a mobile guy and you're working in the sun, I would definitely recommend pre-rinsing the paint, just so everything's wet and cooled down a little bit, and then you can do your pre-wash. But it's up to you. You determine that for yourself. So you can already start to see it working on the tires. That's a good sign. If it's doing that in the tires, it's also doing that on the paint, softening up any of that road grime, traffic film, and maybe some heavy particles that might be on there. We want to get all that off before we contact wash. So remember guys, use your pressure washer like a blade. When you have a setup like this, I'll have links to the gun and the tip. This is an MTM hydro tip. Not hydro tip, I forget what it's called. It's the 25-degree tip, so we use that like a blade. It doesn't hurt anything. The pressure washer is not super high pressure that it's gonna ruin anything, but that setup right there is perfect for precision, so it's great for the door jambs. So the soap of choice today is going to be this. It's a company called Drive Protected. Now this is their megawatt foam soap. It says here with gloss enhancers. Don't be concerned about that. You can use this as a maintenance shampoo, totally fine. In this case, since we're going to be polishing, the gloss enhancers aren't going to inhibit anything. Overlook that, especially if you're polishing. It's going to take anything off. Just means it has a little bit of extra polymers that add a little bit of gloss. But we're going to be using this as the shampoo today. This is really nice high foaming stuff. Has good lubricity as well. Remember, we don't really use the shampoos to clean. Our pre-wash is doing the majority of the cleaning. This is going to add lubrication and cushion, and of course it will add some cleaning abilities as well. But again, this is just our method. You choose your own method and learn which shampoos work best for you, and also focus on the pre-wash because we believe that's the most important step before you touch the paint physically with a contact wash. Alexa, play Pump the Jam.
Shuffling Pump Up the Jam and similar songs on Amazon Music.
Yeah.
Now, do you need to foam the vehicle up with this much foam? No. A little bit of this is for show, just because we went a little overboard with the foam. That's just up to us. It's not a big deal. You don't have to foam it this much, but at least a nice thin layer of foam is perfect for your contact washing. Alternatively, you could just foam your bucket, but we just find this way to be faster. We've been doing it this way for like 10 plus years, and it's just so fast. It's so efficient. At least for us, it is. So let me know down below, what's your method? Do you foam like this for your contact wash? Do you only foam like this for your pre-wash? What are your methods? Just let me know. There's no right or wrong when it comes to your methods, especially if you are a detailing business or a detailing professional, or even as enthusiasts, you have your methods. But let me know what your methods are. Remember, don't criticize other people for their methods, just share your own. So we're noticing these little spots here. I don't know what they are. It's not artillery fungus. It's something else. Can you get them off with your fingernail gently? Barely. I know, just be careful when you're doing that. But we're going to use a clay bar and get some of those little spots off. So you can see these weird little spots here with the soap still on the vehicle. You can add a little bit more lubrication if you want. Just some gentle clay barring. I'm not putting too much pressure. I know you can hear the metal warping, but it's just like any little pressure does that, but it removes it. So anywhere we find these little bits, I think it's just junk from the trees because it's over all of the top surfaces, we'll just clay bar those off and make sure the surface is nice and smooth. Iron decon is not going to do anything. That's specifically for iron. This is more tree junk, usually all-purpose cleaners, degreasers, and just, you know, a gentle clay barring is going to remove that. And yeah, you do need to be a little aggressive in areas if it's not coming out, but we're going to be polishing this anyway, so it doesn't matter. We're going to get all this stuff off, make sure the surface is nice and smooth. Here's a tip. I have a little thing here of hot water, as hot as my hands can take it. This is great for any type of clay bar. It softens it up. So I bring it back to here because it's a little chilly today, and you're warmer weather, you won't need to do that. Soften it up, remold it, good to go. So when we're dumping the buckets in the water and rinsing and all that stuff, your feet tend to get wet. Good thing I have my Brunt boots. So I got these boots a couple of weeks ago and I've been using them and I'm loving them. And I also just got the Brunt work pants as well. Just a tip on the pants, they're awesome. They're kind of like Carhartt quality. They're a little bit lighter weight, very flexible and very comfortable, and actually very soft as well. But the length runs a little long. I usually get 34 length. I need a 32, so these are a little bit long on me. So I would just suggest either to measure, a size, if you're a 34, you usually take 34s for other pants, then take a 32 and it should be perfect. Or if you like them a little bit longer, that's totally fine too. I actually do like them like this. It's nice. It covers the boot perfectly. And yeah, I'm loving these. These are the high top boots. They're a composite toe. They work great for us. Are they like a hardcore construction boot that, you're going to use on a professional level? I don't know. I see some guys out there that they want something a little bit tougher than these, whatever that means. So, you choose what's right for you. These aren't super expensive. They fit perfectly into our budget, and we're just detailers. We're not working with lumber or anything, dangerous. So these boots are perfect for us. Plus they're waterproof. My feet stay warm and dry. So here's kind of an obvious tip. Get yourself a blower like this. This is a little handheld one. It's affordable. You don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on like a fancy blower or a leaf blower or whatever, but this is suited for detailing. It's powerful. It also has filtered air back here. It warms the air as well. Even though it's not considered a heated blower, it does heat up. It's just the nature of the motor in here that it heats up the air. It's a perfect little blow dryer, and it's still very, very powerful as well. So we're gonna use this to dry all the crevices, not necessarily the paint itself, but the crevices. That way when we get to polishing, we don't have an over excessive water dripping out and, messing things up. It could just be annoying. Not that it's gonna really mess things up, but it's just frustrating. So now with the car pulled in, it's all blown dry. We just knocked out the interior. That was pretty quick and easy. Nothing really to show in there. Let's focus on the paint now, and I'm going to show you what we're going to use. Actually, sometimes my wife chooses something else. Sometimes I choose something else. Is that a big deal? No, of course not. We're getting the same results. It's kind of a funny thing with some detailers. They're like, you only have to use one product or you're going to have, inconsistent results. It's not about the product, my friend. It is about the process. You can get results with almost any product. I say almost because there are some variables that, come into play here. You do what you need to do to get to a certain standard that you or your customer wants. So here's before. Here's what the paint looks like. Pretty dull and swirly, right? Not that great. But now, as we go into this area, much improved. Now, we're not shooting for 90%. It's not a paint correction. It's a paint enhancement. A few of those little swirls and little defects are going to remain. We're not worried about that. We're going for the overall effect. That is what the customer is paying for. Remember that, guys. We're a business. What you see here is what the customer is paying for, not according to your standard or, even mine. I would love to get it more, but that's not what the customer is paying for. So from that's before, that's after. So what are we using? The new Rupes Uno Advanced. This is the ceramic-based all-in-one. That's what we're going to use for the vehicle. That junk on the side there came right off with the clay bar. This is bird etching. I might have to go a little bit heavier with that and actually use a cutting polish. Remember, it's a compound, but I say cutting polish. This we're going to get almost perfect. I always try to get those looking really nice. And back here, lots of scratches and swirls, and all those little tree bits did come off, but it left a lot of like pock marks and like etching. Right there is just etching, deep scratches. We'll try our best, but we're not shooting for perfection on those either. And whatever this junk was on the side here, remember I showed you, that came off with the clay bar. And it just left some marring because I did have to go aggressive. And there's some other tree junk on here that somebody else tried to remove. Actually, that's a dent. So there's some other defects. We'll show you as we go through some of the befores and afters. So far, the results are awesome. Look at that.
I love it. The wipe off is amazing.
Nice.
Super easy to work with.
Oh, and we're also using, or she's using, the Orange Lake Country pad. That's our usual go-to, and that works perfectly, as you can see. I'm going to use the DIY Details Gold Standard Waffle. So this is their cutting and polishing pad. It can do minor cutting, not heavy cutting. And I also have their purple DA cutting pad, is what they're calling this. It's like a nice purple wool cutting pad with the yellow backing of that. These polishing pads were developed by DIY Details to, specifically cut and finish really, really well. So here are the results. That purple foamed wool cutting pad, I shouldn't be calling it purple foam, it's their DA cutting pad. So the results here, incredible. Definitely left a little bit of hazing, as you can see there, but the bird etching is gone. Man, the paint feels so good. So I'm going to attack that also, and those little marks there. I'm going a little heavier on those, and I'm using the gold standard polish with that DA cutting pad right here. This pad feels really, really good. It has a nice smooth action over the paint. It feels really nice, and it removes those defects easily. So let's focus on that, get that out, and then I'll use the Rupes Uno Advanced for the rest of it. So don't be afraid to mix and match pads and polishes and so forth. I'm actually using the yellow waffle from DIY with the Rupes Uno Advanced. As you can see here, I cut the defects out with the wool pad, those heavy defects, but the rest of it I'm polishing, and look how nice it looks. Glossy, the clarity is back, it looks really, really nice. Again, don't focus so much on those little minor defects. We're not going for perfection here. We're just trying to get out the heavier defects and make the overall paint look glossy and about 50 to maybe 75% defect free or swirl free. Now, one of the major eyesores on this is that cowl. Look how bad it looks. It's so dry and faded. Let's fix that. We're gonna use a new product from Turtle Wax. This is their trim restore. Now, I've used this already. This actually has graphene. It's basically a trim coating. I've already used it on my ATV plastics, and this is the applicator I used. It's crunchy, which is good. It's a good sign, but this is messy to use. It's a black liquid, so we're gonna be careful when we're applying it on there. You can get it onto paint and glass. It'll wipe off with like a damp towel. Just don't let it dry, of course. So let's show you a quick and effective way of using this so that we make the least amount of mess possible.